Hello and good evening, and welcome to our group coaching call. It's Coach Sarah, and I wanted to welcome a very special guest tonight. It's Dr. Tyler, my husband. And tonight we're here to talk to you about the importance of making time. Because here's the thing, and this isn't just making time, like tonight, for instance, we're making time for each other. It's not because we have the time, but it's because we consciously made that effort to carve that time out. So we're going to dive a little bit into that tonight. And I want to let Tyler talk on that topic here in a second and just kind of let him give you his viewpoint on what that looks like to make time. And some of the things that we can do to help us focus in on reprioritizing where we may want to start making time in our life. So, there's really not a huge structure for tonight, but we went over this morning what we wanted to talk about, but I wanted to kind of give you the floor and ask you about your take on this topic. Cause I know I talk to these guys all the time. Mm-hmm. So they hear from me all the time, but I want to give you the floor tonight to let you talk more about this idea of making time versus having the time. Mm-hmm. And from the perspective of us being, not just partners in life, but also partners in business, how that can become challenging in some ways and how we have made that conscious effort to overcome it.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of tell a story coming back 8 years ago. So about 8 years ago, we opened Functional Effect together. So it was just my wife and I. And, the main priority in our life at the time. Now, also, I had just graduated a few months ago from chiropractic school, and we had just gotten married about a month before that. So we had a lot going on, and we were so driven, and we didn't want to fail, and we wanted to succeed. So we were business partners, and we were probably like 80% business partner, 20% husband and wife. And that making that decision to put the business so heavily definitely took a toll on our marriage. Because everything was so business. So because you have to live together, it really never ended. And at the time we did this a lot of times the same job within the company. And that was really, really hard. And we really lost sight of making time for ourselves as more of our time for our marriage. So if anyone's listening to this and they work with their significant other, husband, wife first, business second. Maybe even further down the line, it's a huge mistake that we made and we had to learn. Now we did some with it. We always drove separately. We always did some things to make sure we weren't in each other's space all the time. But now, fast forward a few years after that, we were really struggling as a couple. As being married was very difficult because we had lost sight of our relationship, and it was just business partner, and we were great business partners. We just were really shitty partners.
We were really bad at being married.
And it showed. And so pretty much the thing that really shifted it was that kind of forced we had to switch it was when Sarah got pregnant. That was a switch that changed everything, because now in the third trimester, she kind of had to get off the floor. She kind of went into a different role. I had to take over more things. And that was kind of a bless. So Frankie was kind of a blessing in that way. It forced us to make that fork in the road. But the problem is we had still lost that ability to have a proper marriage. So it was past that. And in the next 4 years, it's really been this evolution of ups and downs and figuring our life out together. But after 8 years, I look at the biggest mistake we made was not focusing on each other's relationship with each other, not spending that time and money for just us two on a weekly basis. And that's something currently we do now is we almost every week we do a date night, sometimes 2 times a week. And then when we have this flexibility, like, so tonight's kind of a special night for us because we have no children here. They're up in Wisconsin. And so I thought, what can we do that's a little different? I mean, yeah, we could go out to dinner, which we're going to do. But what can we do a little bit different than that? And we haven't done any traveling at all in the last,
for obvious
reasons. So we have a Marriott credit card, and we have a ton of free nights. And so I said, you know what, let's do a little staycation here we're going to go over to Oak Brook. That's not that far from us, if you know where that is in Chicagoland. And we're going to stay at a hotel for the night. And it's really just really taking ourselves out of our environment, because that's key too. Work's our work environment. Home is really, we have to do some work here at home, but the majority is home environment. And we just want to separate that and go to a hotel to really just focus on us tonight.
So to bring this conversation full circle to how this pertains to you guys in your wellness journey, it's about this idea of making the time, right? We talk about, I don't have the time to meal prep. I don't have the time to get my workout in. I don't have the time to drink my water, to eat my vegetables. I don't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fill in the blank with whatever your personal obstacle or excuse is that you have right now as to why you're not getting to where you want to be. At the end of the day, no matter how plausible your reasoning is, it's still going to be putting you in a position to continue spinning your wheels with where you want to go with your health, because you're not making the time or making the effort or carving out that space to do whatever it is that you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. And so, like, for us, we weren't going to get anywhere in our marriage until we started making the time to do the things necessary to move our marriage in the direction we wanted it to go in. And the same is true with your health.
Yeah, I think we had to realize that we had to take a few steps backwards to make a quantum leap forward. And that's hard within, when we talk about the wellness journey, sometimes you do have to take a few steps backwards in your life to realize, like, bring it back, see what's really important to you. And I work with a lot of men and women, and I see they don't fill up their cup enough. They seem like they're taking care of everyone else, kids, people around them, and they're not doing enough for themselves. Now, I will say there is a hierarchy in which the way we like to live our lives, which in my paradigm, Sarah's number one, no matter what, across the board. She's the number one person in my life. She trumps all. And then it would be my kids, and then my parents, my family and stuff, and then my friends, my business and stuff like that. And it goes down farther. But also in that sense, I have to show up, and I have responsibilities too. And you have to take care of yourself. And you got to make the time. And I carve a lot of stuff out time within my schedule. Because if I don't schedule it in as an appointment, it's probably not going to happen. At least it's less likely to happen. So I schedule a lot of stuff out in my calendar at work, in my work schedule, and also in my Google Calendar as well.
So as far as like making those appointments with yourself, like maybe it's not something with another person that you want to improve. Maybe it's something with yourself in your health journey. Making those appointments with yourself to do those things are just as important as making an appointment with someone else to have a meeting. Because if you make that time and carve it out, you're a lot more likely to show up for it, right? Versus leaving it up to the universe for all of the stars to align in order for that thing to happen that you're wanting to happen. So I challenge you today, what is that thing that you've been avoiding taking action on because you don't have the time?
Yeah. And plan that out. And you can reverse engineer that to look at, well, this is what I want. And how am I going to get there? And you have to figure, everyone's life's different, but you have to figure out a way for you that you're able to get that done in your life.
Absolutely. So to keep this message tonight short and sweet, I challenge you to start making the time for the things that you've been avoiding, or making the time for the things that you've been finding yourself making excuses around. Because again, it's carving the time out and then figuring out an approach that works for you. Because again, if it's the approach, maybe it's having whatever it is that you've been expecting yourself to do and going it at a 50% capacity versus trying to do 100% of whatever it is that you've been avoiding. Because if it's an avoidance based on a fear of failure, or an avoidance based on a fear of not being able to show up at 100%, then don't. Scale it back. Scale it back to a place that it feels digestible. Scale it back to a place that feels like you will show up with confidence. And then lather, rinse, and repeat at that state until you're ready to bring it up to the next level. So we're going to open this up for the last about 10 minutes or so for an open Q&A. I'm going to double check and see if anybody else has entered into the room, which we're good to go. Do we have any questions? Since we have you on the line, Meg, we'd love to answer them.
I don't have any questions, but I have an additional comment.
Fire away.
That not only do you have to carve out the time for the things that you want to accomplish, you have to give up some of the things you've been doing, because you've been using your whole day. Doing what? Does that mean an hour less TV?
Right. Sometimes saying no to something allows you to say yes. Right. So that's where we were talking about that whole like scaling back to speed up. Like sometimes the scaling back means stepping away from the TV or stepping away from social media, and not, it can be such a time suck. And there's oftentimes, and so one of my strategies and I will leave you guys with this, is that if you find yourself kind of in this conundrum of like, where am I spending my time? I encourage you to actually map it out for a few days of how you do actually end up spending your day, and actually map it out on a sheet of paper. And you will see these time leaks and these energy leaks that you will be experiencing throughout your day that you can absolutely hone in on and button those up. And you will instantly create some more efficiency in your day. And it can be simple things like scaling back on social media time, scaling back on TV time, and lending that time to something more productive.
Yeah, I think once we get stressed in life and there's a lot going on, we tend to find our ways to distract us, and then also get ourselves. Well, I call it a cheap dopamine hit. So for a lot of people, that would be just like popping on to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, something like that. When it comes to social media, to get that quick dopamine hit. It could be a lot of other things as well. I mean, for some people that would be like smoking or something like that.
It can be sugar.
It could be sugar. It could be foods. There's a lot of things. So when I talk about these quick dopamine hits, try to minimize, like be conscious of what you're doing. Because I really had to think that through of what am I doing through the day to minimize my cheap dopamine hits and focus on stuff that's actually going to bring me true joy and true happiness in life. And that is like, it's, again, like Meg said, it's scaling back those things and realizing like, I'm looking ahead a month, 6 months, a year more, and find what the small things I do today and this week and this month are going to make a huge impact months, years down the line.
Totally.
The other thing I wanted to say was I started making, like Tyler does, in my calendar, appointments for the day.
Awesome.
But, sometimes the day doesn't go according to plan. So you have to be flexible, and you have to schedule in downtime. You can't go 100% from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's how we schedule our downtime in. I mean, it doesn't always work out, but that's like tonight, we're scheduling our downtime to spend time with each other. And that's really important, because we get into this rhythm of life, especially with being entrepreneurs. Like, it's like, if you're not in the pain, you're not in the game. And we say this, like, if you're not grinding, if you're not hustling, you're not doing it right. And I find that to be such a load of crap. It's not true.
And we used to adhere to that mindset.
It was the grind, man, the grind. And you just gotta keep pushing and keep putting. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's a time and a place. But there's also a time to step back, focus on the people around you, take that time to make vacation, do those things. Because at the end of the day, if you're grinding for years, you're gonna miss out on a lot of cool shit, like a lot of awesome stuff. And to spend like I'm only gonna be this age 1 year, right? Like, this is me for now. And if I can't spend that, and I can't spend the time with, Sarah, when, she's in this time of her life, and we, just had a baby, and we get this really, sometimes, yes, it's stressful, but this amazing time in our life. Like, I want to look back and like, wow, we really enjoyed that. Not, hey, I was at work the whole time grinding. Oh, look, I made all this extra money. But at time, for what? For what? That's not necessarily going to make us happier. And if I don't have Sarah, if I don't have my kids, if I don't have the things around me, like, all the money and things in the world mean absolutely jack shit.
And the same thing is true again, like, if we bring this full circle to our health, like, at the end of the day, nothing that we're striving for is going to mean anything if we don't have our health.
Yep. You can't have wealth.
Right. Can't have wealth without health. And so, again, my challenge to everyone who ends up watching this is, think about where you've been giving yourself some excuses in showing up, especially as it pertains to the big five. So just a reminder, the big five: hydration, sleep, fiber, vegetables, technically, movement, intentional movement, and daily intentional self-care, or something that fills up your cup.
Yeah.
Where have you been giving yourself an excuse for those big five? Like, where have you been like kind of slacking, or maybe not fully following through? I challenge you this week to start making appointments with yourself for those things. Even if it's drinking water, making reminders in your phone can be that appointment. It doesn't have to be a literal appointment in your appointment book, but it can be something like a reminder every couple hours. So challenge yourself, review that big five, and look through that lens of, how am I not showing up for myself? And what can I do to start making the time for the things that I need to do in order to be the best version of me, so that I can serve all the other people around me? Because let's face it, many of us in here watching this, one of our biggest things that we do is nurture and take care of other people. And we cannot show up as that best version of ourselves if we're pouring from an empty cup. So my challenge to all of you is to go over that big five, determine where it is you are falling short, and challenge yourself to make the time in your schedule to do the things necessary so that you are showing up in a way that reflects the person who you want to be.
Yeah. I watch too many people take care of people, and it's all about the family, kids. And eventually, like, I've watched too many people have nervous breakdowns. Like, it's a legit, just like, they just fall apart mentally, because they didn't take that time for themselves. I think it's important too, is that your family should be able to see the fact that you do make time for yourself. Because then when they get to that point in their life, they'll realize that that's something that's important.
Yeah. It's hugely important that you set the example. And whether it's in a situation with just you and your partner, or whether it's in a situation with you and your partner and your children, or whether it's in a situation with just you and your children, or whether it's in a situation with just you and your friend circle, setting the example and being the example is very influential on everyone around you. And it allows you also to show up as that person that you know you're capable of being. So we're going to leave you with this message tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us. And We are going to be here every week. We're going to play around with the time a little bit now that it's summer break. We're kind of thinking maybe a little bit earlier in the day, which may allow Dr. Ty to come in a little bit more frequently as a guest speaker. And I'm going to have other guest speakers coming in actually as well. So I'm really excited. I have a bunch of really super cool people from all over the United States who have given me the green light on being a potential guest. So you're going to look for a lot of really neat, awesome fitness professionals in the upcoming future coming in as guests. And as always, keep living your best life. It is the only one that you get, and we want to help you make the most of it. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.